Hello, everyone. Your attention, please. Good morning, and welcome to the session on green job creation and women entrepreneurs, challenges and best practices for skills development and technical training. First, let me welcome you back from your coffee break, and thank you for being part of this very, very interesting session, as you'll find out. Yesterday, we had a session on job creation in general, green job creations. And the conversation centered on what we would need to accomplish in order to ensure that in the next 5 or 10 years, hundreds and thousands of people, West Africans, Nigerians, are employed in the renewable energy sector. So let me start with a story. First of all, my name is Monica Madwekwe, and I work with the ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. So ECOWAS stands for the Economic Community of West African States, and generally we develop regional frameworks like regional policies, and we do a number of regional projects. One of our programs concerns capacity building. And of course, the objective of this capacity building is to increase the number of men and women working in the renewable energy sector. Unfortunately, from my experience, for many of the technical programs we've done, we tend to see that those trainings are very male-dominated. Just as you see in the conventional sector where, engineers tend to be, males, graduates from STEM courses tend to be males. So at the regional level, when we organize regional trainings, we tend to see just mostly men. And in one of our trainings, this was in 2015, we decided to do something different. We decided to be intentional in making sure that we had a gender balanced group of trainees. So we insisted that the ministries in nominating participants should send one man and one woman. And even if they couldn't find an engineer, they should find somebody that is working in the technical field. So that was the first, and I don't want to say the only time, we had this training in energy efficiency, and we had a gender balanced team. I should say that the training was nothing like anything I've experienced before. It was so light. Everyone was joking. There was this friendly banter between the men and the women. The training was fun, and I'm sure even the male engineers learned more than they ever learned in any other male-dominated training sessions. So one thing we learned from that experience is that when you have both men and women, it's more interesting. The competition is friendly, and everybody's more relaxed. But I don't still understand why if we're not serious about bringing men and women together, we tend to still have mostly men in those classes. So the session today is going to be talking about the issues with building the capacity of women, training women, and why we still face challenges after how many years of the renewable energy industry beginning to blossom. I'm happy that we have women here, and we also have a lot of men, so this will be a very interactive session. I'm going to be hearing from the men soon, but first, allow me to introduce my very distinguished panel. First, we have Jan Jäger, who will be setting the stage soon with a short presentation. He's the Director of Policy and Business Development with the Alliance for Renewable Energy. And next to him, we have Favor Omoni, who is a solar engineer with SAO Energy. And after that, we have Marina Abord, who works with ADA, is a Luxembourg NGO, and she is the head of programs for access to basic services. So Help me welcome them with a round of applause, please. Next, I'll be calling Jens to come up and give his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Monica. Yes, so as an introduction to this panel, we thought we'd share a few slides about our skills development initiative called CORE, standing for Cornerstone of Rural Education. It's an initiative focused on training of trainers in developing countries, so it's Africa and Asia. And it's set up through a funding, let's say, committee of partners. So it's ARE, it's the International Copper Association, IRENA, SC4, UNIDO, and UNEP that came together and said, okay, we have a huge skills development workforce gap in the DRE space. What can we do about it? We launch CORE. What does CORE focus on? It focuses on equipping the workforce of the future with the necessary skills to be employed in distributed renewable energy companies. What are the key skills we're training on? It's mini-grid system design, it's mini-grid installation, and operation. We've also added entrepreneurial training to that, so training on how you can set up a business and how you can make use of electricity for productive purposes. So those are the key areas that CORE focuses on, obviously with a vision to contribute to the SDGs and especially SDG 7. We have a particular focus also on gender within this, so hence why this is also a good fit in terms of a panel. We'll come to how we monitor it in a moment, but essentially we have certain criteria also on trainees, practitioners that we train to have a balance of men and women. In general, our value proposition as CORE is, as mentioned, we do standardized certified training, especially of trainers at local level on system design, installation, operation. Why is that valuable? It's because then we have local people being able to train more people on the ground. So it's a multiplier effect, leveraging the key people we train to train the job force in country. We have 3 target audiences, so we work with training institutions, especially universities in the countries. In Nigeria, we're, for example, working with Uniport. We also are in discussion with UNN, University of Lagos. We had a good discussion yesterday in the Industry Academia Roundtable on how we can set up more training initiatives. Second target audience, government entities. We train regulators, ministries of energy, rural education agencies on technical aspects of rural education. Some government entities might have skills gaps in, for example, specific mini-grid technologies, solar or hydro. They can come to us and we can collaborate on doing tailored training. We also have an emphasis, as I mentioned before, we've also started training directly within the communities on productive use of energy. Examples are in Benin, Cameroon, and Madagascar. We've done productive use trainings in communities on how you use DRE for agricultural purposes, for example. If we go to the next slide, we see, okay, this is how about we measure the impact I mentioned before. So we look at how many people we've trained directly, how many people those trainers that we trained have reached, and then also as a third tier, we look at how many of those people have actually gained jobs in industry or in general in the DRE space or elsewhere. We disaggregate this also in gender. As I mentioned, we have targets on as many women as possible, of course, but as a minimum 25%. We also have to be realistic in some countries. When we have trainings, it's still mostly men. We're doing our best to keep it as high a percentage as possible of women. Moving to the next slide, these are the key numbers. As you saw from the other report, we like quantitative figures as well. We have trained more than 2,400 people under CORE in more than 15 countries through this training of trainers approach. And this is just growing every day. A couple of examples of core trainings. I mentioned the ones in Benin, Cameroon, Madagascar. We've also done training of trainers in Lesotho for lecturers there on mini-grid systems for communities. We've done trainings in Uganda, where it was more focused on system design. And recently we also held a government training for NEA in the Philippines, National Education Administration, who are then now training the cooperatives in the region, in the island communities. The next one coming up is actually a collaborative training with ECRE, so it's quite nice that we're on the panel here together, happening in Praia in a couple of weeks on solar thermal training. In terms of partnerships, we have, let's say, a plethora of different partners, but here are some of them. I mentioned ECRE, so ECRE is part of the global network of energy centers, regional sustainable energy centers. We also collaborate with ACRE in East Africa, SACRE in Southern Africa, and in Asia also with ECMOD, for example, in South Asia. Some of the other logos you see there are other partners, so Government of Philippines, Inter-American Development Bank in Latin America, and so forth. In terms of next steps, so if this sounds like something that fits with your mission as well, my call to action today would be come and talk to us. We are happy to partner. We need more partners to do things collaboratively together. We can co-fund trainings, and the target audiences can either be governments. As I mentioned, we do trainings for electrification agencies or regulators and so on. It can be directly with the training institutions themselves. That's our, I would say, main partner at the moment. Can also be on the community level, so we can partner directly with companies to train. And obviously, there are also other programs that do training. So as an example, we work with the T-Learning Partnership of the UK government. And within that, we can also find synergies with existing training programs funded by international funding partners. I'll perhaps stop there, and then we can elaborate on some of the details in the Q&A and panel discussion. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jens. I think it was, first of all, core is impressive, but also I wasn't surprised when you said it tends to be still men that participate in this training. I will still ask you why, but we'll get to you later. So as I mentioned, skills development is something that is important to gain access to green jobs, to renewable energy jobs. And I'm very happy that we have on this panel a female who is a solar engineer. So, Favor, we would like to understand from you your own journey to being a woman in this sort of job.
Okay, good morning, all. Thank you, Monica, for the question. So, I've been in this space for more than 2 years now, and with an agriculture background, I actually went to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and I did a 5-year course in agriculture. After graduating, did the mandatory NYSC, and I started working in admin. And after, in 2020, they asked us to resign because of the lockdown, and I was out of job. So it took me another 1 year to get my bearing and decide what I wanted to do with my life. And after a year, I saw an opportunity online, and it was through the energy talent company, ETC, and they were calling for people who were interested to go into the renewable energy space. And it made sense to me at the time because at that time, renewable energy just there coming up. The discussion was becoming very, very much in this space. And I just took advantage of it and applied. And without any knowledge in engineering, I was a science student. I did maths, I did physics and everything, but I really didn't have that engineering aspect. So I got into their program. We did a 3-month online training, a few physical, where we're taught to install panels, do O&M, and with the agreement I signed with them, they were to place me in a job. So after that training, I was home for a while because it took time to actually get a company to take me in. And after a long time, having worked in another sector of the economy, I got a call back from my current employment. And during my interview, my CEO was, I really like the way you speak. I see you have potentials, and I'll be really, really, really willing to work with you. And that's how I came into the renewable energy space 2 years back, and it's been amazing. I actually came in as an engineer. I trained as a solar engineer, and it wasn't difficult to start or to learn at the beginning because I already had the interest. I already fell in love with this space. I am very, very passionate about people. So when I got to SAO Energy and I could hear my CEO talk about impact, talk about how to make the lives of people better, it's not about the money, it's the name. I got interested and I fell in love. So, so far, it's been good. It's really been amazing. And I'm really enjoying the space. So, and I don't think I'm leaving anytime soon.
That's quite nice to hear. So a follow-up question will be, I'm happy to hear about the leadership. It really makes a difference to have the head of an institution that wants to have more gender balance, social inclusion. Research has shown that it does make a difference. But another thing I would like to find out is, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what is the ratio of male, female engineers? And from your own experience, what do you think is the factor that, conditions that will make female technicians successful in a renewable energy company?
Okay, thank you again. So, to be honest, in my company, it's a 50-50 ratio. I go out with my boss, and he's always proud to say, see Favor, she climbs the roof. See Favor, she screws panels. Yeah, it's actually nice because it's not just about having that leadership. You as an individual, you also have to be interested. So if a female is not interested in this space, there is no convincing anywhere. It has to first start with you as an individual before that interest is now shown or expressed to somebody else outside. So my company is a 50-50, and they always try to balance that. That's one. Then, sorry. Okay, so like I said earlier, first is the interest. That is one thing that will take you anywhere. You have to have that interest. You have to have that drive. You have to love it. It's not hard for me because I like to be on the field. I like to travel. I like to meet people. So it was very easy for me to switch from agriculture. And there is no switch anyway. It's still energy and agriculture, energy and food. There is still a linking. So you have to have that interest. That's one. With that interest and that drive will drive you to looking for opportunities like I did. It will drive you to applying for opportunities like I did. It will also drive you to learn like I did. Because I was mostly self-taught. When I say self-taught is I got the motivation for myself, by myself, without any external push because it was something I saw that I wanted to be a part of. And it's just about you as an individual first before any other external force can push you. So that's what have actually helped me in this space.
All right, thank you. I think that is informative, but it also aligns with, I think, many people's experience. You really need to have an interest in a certain subject to do well in it and drive, and you should also have some kind of tough skin. Definitely for a woman in a male-dominated sector, you must have tough skin, and we'll go into that. So now the question is for Marina. We've heard about, you must have interest for you to be interested, for you to grow in the sector. Now I'm wondering, are some of these training programs or the mood of delivering them? Could they be responsible for why we don't have women or, that interested? Jan, you also have to answer that, but I'll shape it differently. So we're going to talk about how training programs are designed, but I would like to hear from ADA, what are the kind of successful programs that you've implemented for women entrepreneurs to improve their skills, and how has this led to them becoming better entrepreneurs, gaining access to green jobs? And maybe you can also talk about the interest, thing mentioned by Favor. Does it play a role? And also, are your training programs designed in such a way that it makes it interesting, for women to want to participate?
Thank you, Monica. So first of all, I will briefly present ADA. So ADA, as you said, it's an NGO based in Luxembourg, and we are experts in financial inclusion. We work on three main topics, so agriculture, youth entrepreneurship, and access to basic services, including green energy. And the gender is a transversal dimension, so we try to include the gender issue in all our programs, even if we have to do better, but I will explain that after. So one of the projects I would like to talk now, so it's a project that we have implemented in Senegal, near Saint-Louis, so north of the country. We have partnered with another NGO, a French NGO called Le Partenariat, which has a good, who work in Saint-Louis for 20 years now. And we have supported a group, a network of female entrepreneurs distributing green products at the last mile. It means in the villages. And those 5 female entrepreneurs were managing, are managing 37 selling points in different villages. And those selling points are also managed by women in the rural communities. So the objective of this project is, of course, job creation, women empowerment, but also environment protection, because one of the main problems in these areas are the mangrove protection. People are cutting the trees in order to make the food, etc., for the domestic use. So the women started to promote, to sell improved cook stoves, solar home systems, bio charcoal in the villages. So we have started by capacity building, for sure. So it was a big journey. We started in 2022. So we started with a market study, and these 5 entrepreneurs were really actively participating because they could understand the potential clients in the areas, the demand on green equipment, the level of financial inclusion to see if the clients could get some financing support from financial institutions. So they really get in deep awareness about their future clients. Then we have helped them to optimize their equipment distribution model. Try to get better modalities, better partnership with the suppliers, not to take all the risk on them, because it was the case at the beginning. Also, we have organized a boot camp where there were the 5 together. So it was with a local incubator called Joko Labs, and there were modules on entrepreneurial skills, financial management, business model planning, financial management, accounting management. Also, we have done some networking with financial institutions, so they could understand how the credit analysis process would be done, and they realized that they have to have more personalized support on their business model. So it's what we have provided to them. And just beginning of this year, 2024, we organized a second bootcamp where they could formalize, because from 2022, they could see that, okay, they were individual entrepreneurs, and they want to remain individual entrepreneurs. They want to have their own processes to manage their selling points, etc. But they can see that they can mutualize some resources, some resources, and so they could get access to a legal advisor who could challenge them, brainstorm which legal entities they could create in order to remain with freedom as individual, but also to mutualize some resources. And so they came to the option to create, in French, is a group d'intérêt économique. So it's an economic group that is recognized by the authority and it's formalized, etc. So they are in the process now to do that. And so at the end of 2013, they could sell around 1,500 improved cook stove, like 200 solar home systems. So we can see that there were more enthusiasm for improved cook stoves, which is good because it could avoid 2,700 tons of carbon emissions. So this was quite a promising result. And so what we can see from this experience, the two key lessons learned. So first, I think we have to, in this kind of project, we have to be patient and we have to work at the pace of the woman, because actually those 5 female entrepreneurs, they have different responsibilities. They jungle between, of course, family responsibilities, but also professionally they have different activities. Some of them are already leaders in their communities. They are president of a cooperative, or they are part of the association of the school, etc. So sometimes we want to have the results immediately, etc. But we have to be confident to trust them. They know what they want. They know how fast they want to go, and we have to respect that. And actually, it's better to go slower, but to make it sustainable. And they are really convinced. Now, with or without support, they will continue their businesses. Another key lesson is the way that they could work within this group. Actually, the group was to mutualize the training, the capacity building. So it was not a planned outcome, but we realized that actually they could create a certain connivance between them. And now they share the common problems, and even they have a personal interaction. I mean, they can talk about other things than businesses. And so this is something also to maybe to think, even with entrepreneurs that don't share the same businesses, but to see how we can create this space of communication and exchanges. Voilà. Thank you.
Okay, that was very good, very detailed, and I took some points, some takeaway points. I like what you said about starting from the basic, the level of the trainees. You have to do some very comprehensive training needs assessment to know, to tailor your training to what they know on the subject. And rather than just designing a training and asking people to come and maybe it's too advanced for them or it's too basic for them. So I do agree you need to start, from the base of what your trainees need. And the point on, they have family responsibilities is very key. Even from our side, when you're doing social impact assessments or environmental impact assessments, and you need to have stakeholder consultation, the gender mainstreaming part requires that you are concerned about the timetable of the women, when they need to cook, when they need to go to the farm, when they need to take care of their children. Otherwise, you will go for stakeholder consultation and they will not participate. So we've had issues where you have stakeholder consultations and women are not really part of it. So taking note of the family responsibilities is very key in designing your program. So now to Jens, you did mention that most of the participants in your core program tend to be men. I think it would be interesting to hear from you the why, based on what you've observed.
Yeah, thank you. It's always dangerous to say ahead of the panel that you should grill me with difficult questions. But yeah, I'll elaborate a little bit on where it comes from. So in certain instances, we offer training for institutions where we cannot change the institutional setup of who's going to get trained. Good example is our recent training in the Philippines for the National Electrification Administration. We thought that had a huge potential impact because we're training the system designers in the ministry who will then go and train the cooperatives. Now, we are not going to change who's already employed by NEA in the Philippines. So these people happen to be, we trained 10 people in the renewable energy department, out of which I think 8 were men and 2 were women, something like that. Now, obviously then on the end user side, once these engineers go and train the cooperatives and the cooperatives train the communities, then it's going to be a more balanced impact down the line. Given that the program has just started, the people that are at the beginning of that chain, that are already employed by NEA, they are men, and that we cannot change because we come in at the end and offer tailored training. Same example sometime on some of the university trainings where we come in postgraduate. Obviously, we can try to hand pick and also balance it out, but often the balance is heavily skewed already in the favor of men versus women. So that's a key reason why at the moment the numbers are looking like they are, because we come in, we are at an early stage of the program, and down the line the monitoring of impact comes a bit later on the community level. Having said that, there are other types of training we do where you can balance it from the start. So the community level trainings, for example, we're doing in Benin and Madagascar, there you can say, okay, well, within the community, you have an emphasis on the female-led businesses, entrepreneurs, and so on. So it really depends on what type of training it is, because we've traditionally started out doing the university level and government trainings. That tends to be already skewed in that direction. So that's the experience from CORE. I think a good example in CORE of a partnership is also our partnership with the Rest for Africa Microgrid Academy. We actually had the pleasure, well, normally we should have had one of the trainees from the academy here, who unfortunately had to cancel because of illness. But Chiamela was also a good example of someone coming out of that academy, being trained through these technical trainings, and then now starting her own renewable energy business with great success in Nigeria. In the Rest for Africa Microgrid Academy, there's quite a nice balance as well between men and female. So yeah, I'd say that's the experience from CORE. Now looking at it from a broader perspective in ARE as well, we have from a couple of years ago developed a knowledge product on women entrepreneurship in the DRE space, which I can highly recommend. It has case studies from Asia, Africa, and Latin America with female-led businesses. What was their journey? What does the institutional setup of the business look like? How are they also on the impact level targeting women? A couple of key highlights from that. I'd say there's a business and foundation in India called Melinda Foundation. It's what they do is they've trained rural farmer cooperatives, also women-led, that offers also microfinance solutions for DRE. So that's quite interesting and linked to what Marino was saying before. In Africa, you also have some examples of more, a company called Beno, for example, trained also on digital literacy. And so that's another interesting example of a company that has had success. I think in general, also one lens we have it on ARE and a recommendation from the report is, well, I mean, you should start the change by looking at your own institution. As a famous infamous singer says, start with the man in the mirror, right? So here in our setup, it's the institutional mirror, and in ARE we employ, it's a very balanced team. I think we even have a majority of women in the secretariat and board combined, so I think that's a good start. We should start with our own organization. If all of us do that from the start, then we're already doing something ourselves. So that would be my 2 cents, yeah, both on ARE level and on the core program level. Another thing that has also worked in some cases is mentorship programs. So there are a couple of nice mentorship programs out there. I can name also the one from the Energy Storage Partnership of the World Bank. We have Juliette in the audience as well from the World Bank, who can perhaps tell you more on the details of that. But essentially, the storage partnership picked both a handful of mentors from the industry, specifically on the storage industry, of course, and from female entrepreneurs in developing countries on the ground, and then they provided them with direct mentorship from senior experts from the industry. I think things like that are highly productive and can be replicated with success.
Thanks, Jens. You prepared very well for that question. You did a good job. Okay. So now I'm going to open to the audience. Do we have any questions, any queries? Okay.
Thank you. We're still in afternoon. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is SCN. I have a few questions for the panels. The first one is about the recent statement that was made by Mr. Patrick Poyan, the CEO of Total Energy in Nigeria. He said something that bothers me a lot. He said, in Nigeria, we don't have the expertise to actually do those jobs. At the same time, I want to I agree with him and disagree with him. You see, when you employ the wrong set of people to do a particular job, you're not going to get any results from it. Basically, probably because you employ them because they came on the platform of the people that actually gave you the platform for you to do that business. And they give you people for you to employ. And you give them that job. You're not going to get results because they are not trained to do that job. Now, that brings me to my question. How does an individual who has passion and interest, for this renewable energy thing, how does it come into, benefiting from this training opportunities that you have brought before us? That's the first question. And secondly, is there going to be an age limit to this training? Is there going to be an age limit? Because basically in Nigeria today, you see people employed, not more than level of age, not more than this. Is there going to be an age limit? Then lastly, how have you been able to convince the Nigerian government to actually allocate funds into investing in renewable energy in Nigeria? And what has been their feedback so far from the platform you've been given for those who are already in the system? What has been the feedback from the Nigerian government? Have they been okay with it? Have they been satisfied? Have they been encouraged to actually do more into, pumping funds into the system? Thank you.
Let's take the first three questions.
Okay.
We've noted your question, Mr. Essien. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. Thank you very much. My name is Muaz Musa from Sokoto Energy Research Center, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. So our center is one of the centers under the Energy Commission of Nigeria, and we have mandate to conduct research and development, as well as capacity building in different areas of renewable energy. And over the years, actually, we have enjoyed training of the trainer program under the GIZ, UNDP, even Africa Regional Center for Technology, in all different aspects of renewable energy. And based on that, we have the capacity in our center. And we have been conducting trainings in all these areas. What I have observed is when it comes to gender balance, it depends on the type of technology you are training. Like when we were training, or when we invited or called for training on improved wood burning stoves, the majority of the participants were females. But when it comes to training of design, construction of wind turbines, the women were very, very few. I think we had only one lady. So also, when it comes to the training on solar photovoltaics installations, you find majority were men, because women were thinking that they have to be climbing on top of roofs to be mounting solar panels. But on the other hand, when we were training on solar thermal aspect, which involves training on solar cooking devices, solar drying devices, majority were women. So what I want to say here is the issue of gender sensitivity on training depends on the type of technology to be deployed. So that has to be really taken into consideration. Another thing is most of these trainings are aimed at getting people self-employed. And then by the time you train them and there is no support for them to continue the technology, they just leave the technology where they are trained about it. So my question to Ian with regard to this is there any support so that by the time this use, either male or female youths are trained on a particular type of technology, then they will have a support to be self-employed? Thank you very much.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Vera. I work for Azuri Technologies. While I commend John for all the great jobs on the capacity development being done across the sub-Saharan Africa, I heard him listening to your presentation. I heard you mention projects done in Uganda, Cameroon, other places, but honestly, I didn't hear Nigeria. And I'm wondering why that. So if you can throw more light on that. Thank you.
All right, let's answer this first three, then we take more questions. So, Jan, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, there were quite a few questions, so I'll perhaps start with the first one first. Sorry, the last one first. So why haven't we done any trainings in Nigeria so far? We have. We have trained, done a training of trainers for Uniport, Port Harcourt, was focused on technical standards, and now what we've also we've made use of this opportunity to meet different Nigerian universities as well. We had a closed-door industry academia roundtable yesterday, co-organized with the UK government, where we also co-identified training needs here in Nigeria. So the aim was to make use of the forum here to see, okay, what are we supposed to do and what makes most sense in Nigeria. So it's coming. We already have some training, but we would like to do much, much more with different Nigerian training institutions and universities. Following up on that, there was the question about self-employment from the gentleman from University of Sokoto. Well, the aim of these trainings we do is actually, yes, we equip people with the skills to start businesses as well. Well, either they get employed by existing businesses, so members of ARE, for example, or they are also equipped with the knowledge to start their own business. Part of that is the core training, of course. Core offers, training on the technical aspects mainly, but you can also complement that with other training. So in ARE, for example, we have the investment academies going on at the moment where we train early stage companies on financial readiness. So I'd say core is more the technical aspect of it, technical skills, whereas other complementary training programs are more focused on the financial management skills and so on, and pitching and that kind of thing. So yeah, obviously not one program shouldn't do everything. It's more targeted at the technical ones. But yes, overall, we do promote entrepreneurship and do offer training on that front. Should I, perhaps I hand it over to one of the colleagues on the panel as well for.
Okay, thank you for all your questions. Let me throw more light or say some things to the first person that asked. I don't organize any training. I've actually participated in so many trainings in this energy space, from USAID to Power Africa to GIZ to even privately run NGOs, not even international. So, like I said earlier, they are very specific sometimes, if it's technical, like he's saying, and soft skills. These training informations are online. They are everywhere. You just have to connect to the right people. You have to follow the right pages. You have to have the right information. There are some I've seen that they are looking for females, specifically to females. There are some that is a mix, or there's a ratio to say females are encouraged to apply. So for that, I think we are not, as Nigerians, we actually are not really searching for those kind of training because I've benefited. Last year, I went through the MPSP program, the Nepal Africa Nigerian Support Program, and I was trained for the pay-go business model. I never had any opportunity to learn that coming into the space, but as soon as I saw the opportunity online, I quickly applied. I'm also a graduate of the Investment Academy, this cohort that just finished. I saw the application online. I applied late into the night. It actually passed the deadline. I had to send an email to Jens and Gabriel and said, I saw it late. Can I still be a part of it? And surprisingly, I got a yes. So you actually have to be very interested, like I say, and search for these things. There is no age limit for now, because when it comes to the technical aspect, it gives you a little of experience to actually apply. So you can see 35 and above. You can still apply for them. Soft skills, anybody can learn that. And GIZ played a very big role for me when it came to when I was trying to design my career path. I attended one of their training. I just left, I just graduated from the university. And he was able to mentally rearrange me to say, okay, I do not have to be looking for everything because there are so many opportunities. I have to be specific to a career. I have to be specific to a goal, and I have to run after that. So we as Nigerians and young individuals, we have to actually get to that point where we say, this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is how I'm going to run after it. We have skills. I'm a PV solar engineer. When I go to the field, they don't let me climb the roof, and it's very true. They'll tell me, Madam, it's not your job. Leave it. I recently had an installation in Ondo State last year, and I had to beg my guys that let me just climb and see if the way you people arrange the panels was where I say you should arrange it. And they allowed me. I just stopped like half of the ladder, and they're like, calm down, calm down, calm down. I don't want you to fall. So I love the experience, like I say. I supervise installations. I also screw panels or screw inverters. But honestly, they don't let you. You go to rural communities and they're like, woman, they do this kind of thing for our side. Oh. I face that too. And I'm also interested in installations because when I go to these communities, I see myself as a beacon of hope to look at these small girls, seeing me in this space and saying, I want to be like you when I grow up. I want to see that I'm not limited to just being in the office or just being in the kitchen.
That's very
Nah.
important. Thank you very much. So that was very good storytelling, and I like that you shared your personal experience. Thank you. So, Marina, would you like to answer one of the
Yes.
questions?
Yeah, I would like to react on what you said about technology, and it's true. And we can see, for instance, the distribution of improved cook stoves. The women entrepreneurs are really recognized to do that. They are recognized by their peers. So it's easier to start this business when it's managed by women. So so it's true that renewable energy sector is brings a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities for job creation and for women, but we have to also to consider this issue. And as you said, nothing is impossible. I'm sure some female leaders will show the path in every kind of sector, technologies, etc. But it takes time. And and what we are doing in ADA is to improve our internal procedures on risk analysis related to gender issue in our project. So, for instance, to make sure that the project activities will not lead to gender norms violation and not to put the woman in a bad position. And and try to create, for instance, women entrepreneur would like to change the solar home system. So we know maybe it's not accepted. So what can we do before to sensitize the communities, to create the confident environment? And this has to be taken into account even before the launch of the project, during the formulation of the project.
Yeah, that's very true. We need to change our mindset because social barriers are a real problem. But also having role models, models that are showing the way, women that are doing wind, women that are doing solar, like Favor here. I can imagine that a lot of young women will be encouraged to see a woman following that path. So we'll be taking more questions. Please raise your hands if you have a question.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel. I'm an advisor at GIZ under the Nigerian Energy Support Program. Sorry. And I have a couple of questions for Jens. So, I mean, it's not enough that we just train. It's also important that there is a pathway from training to employment. So, under the core project, are there any strategies for implementing training to employability? Are there pathways like that? And then I don't also know if the trainings are fully funded by core. If they're not, I also wanted to ask what are also the strategies for making the courses affordable? Because that's like a challenge for people when it comes to paying for trainings. They can't really afford them. And just a comment to my guy from SCRC. I strongly believe that there is a lot of reorientation or advocacy to be done when it comes to the gender aspect of the job, right? So I don't believe there's any reason why a woman cannot be a wind turbine engineer, or as the case may be, right? So for me, I believe there is a need to reorient the mindset of people. And then that brings me to my next question for Jens. What are some of the gender transformative approaches that are deployed at core projects, include more women in the tradings. Yeah, and then lastly, just a comment also for Jens. Um, I mean, you're implementing in various countries and you're also implementing in Nigeria, right? But I also believe that there is a need to streamline the number of interventions when it comes to capacity building in these countries because there are already existing interventions. So I believe there should be a way to streamline so we have complementarity of efforts instead of duplication. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do a quick exercise before we come to you. Just one quick exercise. Thank you. No, hold the microphone, please. So he said something interesting, and I'm going to close my eyes when I ask my question. So he said there is no reason why a woman cannot be a solar or wind engineer. So I would just beg you with a show of hands, what do you think? Is there any reason? If you believe that there's no reason for why a woman cannot be a solar or wind engineer. There is no reason. Please raise your hand. My eyes are closed. I'm not judging anybody. Okay. So I think. So I think most of us here believe that there is no reason for why a woman cannot be a solar and wind engineer. So I'm wondering, what is the roadblock? Why are we not seeing more of that? Okay, you want us to ask a comment. Okay, the microphone will come to you. All right, so you still get to ask your question. So we have the first microphone, access to her, then it will come to you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Juliet Mpumi from the World Bank, and I'm responding because Jens mentioned the energy storage program. And that, is my mic on? Good. So we have a mentorship program, and that is the Women in Energy Storage program, which we collaborate with the global network of women in energy transition. And we match women, mostly young engineers, young women in energy storage, with some mentees who are our partners. And the partners share knowledge with the young engineers, and the engineers also share the knowledge with the partners. And through the program, some of the partners or the mentors have changed their perceptions about what a woman can do. They have gone back to their institutions and expanded their umbrella to make sure that women not only participate in what is being done in the workforce, but also are shown the path towards a leadership position. You just don't work as an engineer. You need to know how to get to the top management position where you make decisions that impact women in the future. So through our partnership with ARE, this energy storage mentorship program is in the third cohort, and we seek active collaboration from all women who are interested in advancing their careers in energy storage. I will stop here and let this gentleman give his comment.
Good day, everyone. My name is Adito Yadideji. Apparently, coming to ECN, I've participated from one of their trainings, but I learned something when I was in my NYC with ECN Sokoto. We tend to do something then. We tend to collaborate on young women from universities to change their mindsets and also tailor them also for that. So presently, we have one CSR project in which we do at my company. It's called Women for Green Jobs. So what we do basically was let's see where we're having probably a backlog. What's really happening? So we had an engagement with universities. We started from universities. What's really happening? I come in the engineering department. We tend to have 3 ladies, 4 ladies. That's what we have as at then. Same with physics. We move around almost, I think, geopolitical zone of Nigeria, geopolitical zone. We examine that and find out that one, that's where we have the gap which we are trying to bridge. So 2 things in which we tend to do was we tend to work with women in STEM. Sciences, engineering, mathematics, and the likes. And we just let's collaborate on this and let's make this thing happen. So what we do when we find that training doesn't go far, we can only train, placement, job roles becomes a challenge. How do we bridge that gap also? That's another part in which we tend to do. So what we do is we partner with Shortlist. I don't know whether anybody within the house know who Shortlist is. shortlist. Shortlist, yeah. So shortlist tends to come up with regards to support for employers, support for even the training also. And another thing which we tend to do also, we work with, we change the training model because we're on the top cohort also right now. The first cohort was basically within renewable energy space. There was a challenge with regards to that also. The challenge is like renewable energy companies within Nigeria doesn't scale up unless, renewable energy companies in Nigeria doesn't scale up unless they have a grant project at hand. So they prefer a kind of like, not a full staff role, but kind of like maybe a contract role. But we're also very much okay with that. So we tend to work with GISA, RIAN, COREN with regards to this. They need certification, let's do that. So the second cohort, we tend to like change our model because we're like, okay, let's not just basically within this space. Let's bring in one more woman within this space. So we tend to do something with regards to entrepreneurship, data science. We reach an agreement with Microsoft with regards to this, creating a platform for this and letting it make happen. So with entrepreneurship, we find out that the challenge is we've shown them the way. How did they start with the financing? How did they get the money? So, but what we do was we approach banks, commercial banks within Nigeria. They tend to have like these women funds in which everybody tends to have. It's women impact fund. Most times with even low, no interest at all, low risk rates, as far as there's someone that can back it up for them. And those are the challenges and those are the pieces in which we tend to put all together to just make the program work out. The last one was done here in Lagos with ECN, NCEC, Unilag, in which we tend to like partner with them with regards to this also. What can we really do? We approach them, guys, after this is what we really do. We are like a renewable energy research center. Can we make use of a venue? We work with NIDA also in same Unilag also. This particular, the last one that was EDC. And those are the things in which probably from time to time we tend to like collaborate. I also like for us to make this thing happen, collaboration goes a long way. Partnership goes a long way. There are some funds somewhere in which some women dedicated for women, taking more time.
Yeah.
They are taking for that are probably meant for women. Impact funding, little funding, or even with little or low interest, in which you can really activate for them. You just where the challenge is, you stand in as the risk format for them.
Yeah.
By the time you've given them the training, it's basically 6 weeks training. Then immediately after then, we tend to like, okay, if you have, we tailor some towards RIAN with regards to partnership with renewable energy companies which want to absorb them.
We don't have time anymore.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that very holistic presentation. And I agree, partnerships, collaborations, training is not enough. You also have to have a pathway for employment, either through entrepreneurship or access to jobs. So that was very, very holistic. And I think we can approach you to actually write a book on how to do it right. So thank you very much. And we will now be closing, but Jens has a few questions, and I will also allow each of the speakers to just give us a statement that we can live with regarding this, topic. Just a simple statement on, where you see the future going to, how to make the future of green jobs for women possible.
Yeah, thank you. I'm flattered by the amount of questions. So there were 3 very good questions. One was on how do we ensure that we work with other partners that deliver training. The other was on the financial aspects for trainees. And the third was on how do we place after training, right, in jobs. So the one on working with partners, as you saw from the presentation, we are indeed doing our best to collaborate with other partners. And a good example of that is with the T-Learning partnership, where the TLP, they offer new energy access master courses. So we come in and plug gaps in those trainings. They say maybe we need a trainer on mini-grid system design, and CORE comes in and offers that trainer. So we do not necessarily want to do everything ourselves. On the contrary, we'd be happy to partner with GIZ, NESP, on trainings where you already do very good things in certification, skills development with certain institutions here in Nigeria, and we can build on that framework. So let's have a discussion on how we can add GIZ, NESP to that slide next time we present. It actually also relates to the next question you asked about funding and especially the cost for participants. In general, the trainings we offer are free and they're typically co-funded by CORE and the partner we collaborate with. So a model we've done with TLP, for example, is you have TLP directly working with the university, so they are more on the logistics side. They're already part of a course offered by TLP, and then we come in and support the trainer costs that we offer from the core side. So that's the typical model we have in a lot of countries. But from the participant point of view, usually it doesn't entail cost, or it has never until now actually entailed any cost. So that's on those two. Then the last point about job placement after the training, that's a really good question. And to be honest, we haven't found the silver bullet on this yet. One avenue we have is the ARE job platform, where we have a pipeline of jobs that can be filled from ARE members. But now also, as we expand the database of people trained, we are looking for good models of directly putting those people into training with our members, or putting into direct jobs for a start, perhaps internships or junior roles in companies. So good ideas are very welcome on that. We don't have the silver bullet yet, but at least we have a mechanism where we can place people and a good quantity of both companies on the supply side of jobs and practitioners on the demand side, let's say.
Thank you all. I will just close by saying, don't be discouraged as a young female in this space. There are opportunities, but it won't come to you if you don't look out for it. Be engineers, be leaders. That's where I'm going to be in the next 5 years by the grace of God. So let's just make Nigeria work, and let's make the renewable energy space filled with females in also the technical aspect of it. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue on what you have said. And to be short, I think we need just more inclusion, but also more education. And I think it starts also with children. So let's educate our girls, but also our boys, that everything is possible and that everybody can achieve his dream, and a woman can be an engineer or other thing, and this is completely with a normal thing in the coming years. Yes, especially in Africa. But we are optimistic.
Yeah. So thank you very much, my very distinguished and intelligent panel. I also like to thank the audience for being very engaged. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. And I also want to say that it shows that there are a lot of solutions already ongoing. And I'm feeling very optimistic about the future of green jobs for men and women. So clap for yourself, my audience, and clap for the panel. Thank you very much.